Right, guys, we're back with the promised second video. This is going to be some benchmarking with 970 FTW Plus from EVGA. Not as much testing as I'd like, and I'll explain why. I got my initial card, I did some testing. At the time I had a reference card, which is what I'll use to compare just the stock EVGA overclock and the reference card at normal speeds. I did all those tests, and then I started playing with the overclocking, which was another thing that I wanted to do in this video. My card had incredibly low performance in terms of overclocking. The ASIC rating was like a 59.2, and that was really frustrating for me because I bought the FTW Plus thinking that for these cards, I hope that EVGA is kind of binning the best chips and putting them out there. Instead of just getting the same old chips, and then they can get this performance, which pretty much any 970 can get to the stock performance. Of course, the cooling is an issue, potentially an issue, but I was hoping we would have a little bit better chips, hand-picked, I would say, or the process is called binning for chips. It seems like that doesn't happen, or I got a bad card. So I was in the forums, the EVGA forums. A lot of people chipped in and gave some ideas, and just shared the sorrows for what was going on. But basically what somebody suggested is that I contact EVGA, which I did. Send them an email. They responded with a few hours, and after they saw what was going on, they showed some disappointment on the card that I have and offered to RMA it. Because I have Newegg's Premier program, I decided to just order a new one, or I suggested to EVGA actually that I order a new one. And I'd get it here in a few days, which you'll probably see in this video on Monday, so it's gonna get here on Wednesday, a couple of days in, and then as soon as it's here, I can ship the other one back for a regular return RMA. EVGA seemed fine with this. They actually said that that's actually a better option right now than having to pay advance replacement, because I don't have another graphics card available at the moment. And so that's what I did. I ordered a new one. Now this has a benefit, which is I will be able to, coming Wednesday, do some benchmarks on the SLI setup at EVGA stock overclock. So that's going to be exciting because I can get that out of the way. Now, I hope that my next card is better than this one, but I haven't seen amazing chips being posted or listed on the forums. Most people have very mild ASIC or ASIC, whatever, I don't know how to say that, ASIC rating, which basically has to do with the taking advantage of the total TDP, or total power consumption, of the card, and so that it allows a higher boost clock without overheating it. So fingers crossed for the card that's coming in on Wednesday. I have no idea how it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be better, if it's going to be worse, if it's going to be the same thing. If it's the same thing, I will probably return both cards and try to figure out what I'm going to do next. I might work with EVGA on this a little bit. I might get a 980. I might try a third 970 if they work something out with me. But if not, I'm going to have to pick another card. I personally, and I'll have more conclusions after the benchmarks. I'm going to post in a few minutes all the benchmarks that I have. I think the 970 is a sweet spot for, and I've heard a lot of people say this, it is a sweet spot. The performance dollar ratio is pretty amazing for what you get. It's pretty low power consumption compared with the AMD offerings. And within the NVIDIA lineup, it's significantly better in some cases than the 780, which was the previous top of the line from NVIDIA. And in some cases, it gets pretty close to the 980 on some things. So I would like to have this chip. I have seen some good chips out there on the 970. There's some other brands that do inform that they actually do binning for their higher end series. One of them is the Zotac. They actually have an AMP edition that they tell you that they do binning. They only pick the best CPUs or the best processors that they get for that specific model, and only pick those for the overclocked editions. I know that Gigabyte does the same thing with their G1 gaming. So I really like EVGA. I would rather work with them on this because I think it'd be better for everyone if we could work something out, because I do believe that in the past they've had the best offering when it comes to overclocking, and it would be sad that they are skimping out on this, or cutting corners, if you will, by not binning the best processors. So fingers crossed for Wednesday, but without further ado, let's get into the benchmarks so you guys can make a decision for yourselves. All right, let's get started with some of the benchmark results. First of all, this is the first time that I'm doing this, so remember to send any sort of feedback and advice and suggestions on the comments down below. I will greatly appreciate it so I can improve these. If the font is very hard to read or the colors or something like that, I'm sure that I'll improve some, but I'll appreciate if you guys have any sort of suggestions on this. Now, getting into the tests themselves, I ran each test for each game or whatever test it was. I ran them 3 times, and then I averaged the results, and these are the average of 3 tests. I just did that to avoid extreme results that were caused by whatever reason, and so this is I feel a lot more accurate to the performance of the card. Specifically, I decided to show you the average frames per second during the whole test, then the maximum, and then the minimum. So it never went below, in this case, the reference card never went below 22.3, the FTW Plus under 24.3. It never went over 58.2 on the FTW Plus or 54.5 on the reference card. These are just for your reference. I think the average frames per second of any test is the better indicator on what you'll see in real-world performance. In this specific case, Sleeping Dogs, I'm running with HD textures on. But then I ran and compared, and the difference is minimal, like less than 0.2 frames per second difference. On to Shadow of Mordor. I bought this game recently. I'm actually having a lot of fun playing it. Excellent results. This is one of those examples of a new game that's actually really optimized for these new cards. You see very high frame rates on average, like 58 on the FTW Plus is pretty much 60, which is very good. Most monitors don't even go above that. So, interesting note on the minimum, the reference had high minimum, but at the same time, the average on the FTW Plus, which is what counts, is higher. And the max is pretty comparable. This is probably hitting limits on other things, but fun game, good results. I like it. And on to Grid Motors Outer Sport. Sorry. This was actually super impressive to me. The graphics in this game are actually super high. And I'm playing, and I'll have a link to like a document that will have all the settings that I use for each test, so just for reference. But I'm running as high as I can. I'm pushing this as high as I can, and this is all 1440p. All my tests are 1440p. And this game had incredibly high frame rate, incredibly high average frame rate, above 100 on the FTW Plus. And this is one of those examples of a game that really uses the GPU and uses it well. The difference in clocks between the reference card and the FTW are noticeable. If you look at the results, we're talking about 10 frames per second on average higher, and that is really, really significant. And it was really impressive to me to see this happening. This says more about the game than actually the graphics card, but at the same time, the performance potential is there on the FTW Plus. This game just sucks it right in and uses it. This is a super impressive game. I bought it a while back because I'm a huge fan of the Grid series. Actually has a benchmark, which is awesome. These games I found basically searching the web and realizing that I had them. And so on Steam, I just buy them on sales and stuff like that. So super impressive game. I like the benchmark. Visually incredible. And just a testament to this graphics card's potential and ability. Really good results, and great to see the difference in clocks really shining here. And on to BioShock Infinite, a game that I still have yet to finish. Great game. Caused me some motion sickness because there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. Interesting, this game. I saw a lot of tearing by my monitor. There's a lot of motion in this test. I would almost completely disregard the max and minimum value here. For some reason, BioShock's benchmark uses the max and actually still benchmarks the scene changes. And so it just completely ruins this because those values are completely off the charts in terms of what actually happened. And actually those minimum and those maximum values happen during the scene changes. I could have averaged them out, but technically they were included in the overall. I just ran the values as it is. Again, if you want to know what settings I ran all these tests, I'll have them linked down below. This is pretty much maxed out, so just for you to know, and it's running on 1440p. So super high quality. There's some frame drops and stuff, but the average is actually very high, and I liked it. And it was good to see that I performed well, better than my old Crossfire setup with two 280Xs actually. So pretty cool. Next up, Tomb Raider. Another game that I bought on a Steam sale. I actually bought all the Tomb Raiders because I had some vague memories from playing them into my childhood, so I just wanted to get them all. Anyway, interesting results here as well. Notice the max though. These were all run with buffering on, or VSync, double buffered. That's why the max doesn't go any higher than that. I wanted to see if there was much difference running them with VSync on, because in games like this it avoids tearing. It actually improves significantly your experience, so I just wanted to test them out like that. That's why the results, I wouldn't even count because my monitor runs 60 hertz, so the 62, 61.5, I just count that as 60, but those are the actual results. Little improvement, a little ahead the FTW Plus, not by a lot, but that's to be expected. Nonetheless, again, a little edge on the extra clock makes the difference at the end. And on to Metro 2033. I only ran this one because I wanted to run one of the Metro series. They have excellent benchmark utilities, and so I wanted to run them. I didn't realize I already owned the Last Light, but so next time I will run Last Light for sure. This is probably going to be the only time I'll run the 2033. Nonetheless, incredibly intensive game. This demo actually uses a lot of the lighting stuff, and so it really got some minimum down there. The average was just below 30. Again, running very high specs, pretty much maxed out as much as I could go, and 1440p. But nonetheless, a good example of the two cards. Again, I would pay a lot more attention to the average frame rate than the maximum and minimum. I just put them there for reference. For gameplay in real world, the average is what really matters here. So cool demo for sure. And Arma 2. Probably the first and last time I run this test. Is not very indicative of anything really, and it doesn't give me lowest or maximum and minimum for any test, so I'm just left with this average that's not even decimal at all. And so yeah, I just ran it anyway for the sake of nostalgia, I guess. Bought this game because of DayZ back in the day when it was still modded. And so I decided to run it because it's extremely popular and it does have a benchmark utility built in. And so you'll notice that the frame rate on the second scenario, which has a lot of lighting effects and stuff like that, a lot of little people running around in the map, it just drops the frame rate dramatically. From what I can tell, this is probably being CPU bound. I do have a decently beefy CPU, a 6-core, and it's overclocked and everything, but I still think that's part of the reason here, that this results are pretty much the same no matter what the graphics card is. I doubt that even if you have a 980, you'll get much more than this. So cool to see nonetheless, but not that indicative of anything. So it'll be out for next time. Next up, Uni Engine Valley. Super popular test. A lot of people asked for this just to compare the results. The results were not, I wouldn't say they weren't where I expected. I really appreciate that the minimum is now over 30. That's kind of like one of the reference points that I want to keep in mind always when I run any test, is that the average is substantially higher and that the minimum is higher, specifically if it's in the 30 range, that it's actually higher than 30. So good on that. The highs, that's always like spikes and stuff like that, so I don't give too much value when one is above the other, to be completely honest. And the average is a good amount over, and if you get onto the scores, you'll see that I actually managed to get it one time above 3200 on the FTW Plus. Probably the first time that I ran actually went over. I ran a couple other runs. I just picked one in this case, but almost 100 points over. So it's a good value for a non-overclocked. I mean, it's overclocked, but I didn't overclock it yet. When I started overclocking, and I'll talk about it later, but I got a little bit better results. I'm sure that I can push more. And last but not least, certainly, 3D Mark 13 Fire Valley. Interesting results again. Not very impressive at all. When I tried overclocking, I still got overclocking. I got over 11,000. Some people in the forums were claiming over 12,000 actually for higher overclocked cards. That's one of the problems with mine. I couldn't get it much over 11,000, even at the most that I could overclock it. Nonetheless, an impressive test. It actually pushes the cards really well, and it's a great way to test if your overclock is actually being effective. So a good result, but stock is not as impressive as I expected initially. Actually, I thought that value would be higher. But that would wrap up the benchmarks that I have. Now that was crazy. I never thought this would take this much time and be this much work, but collecting all this, all the benchmark results, and then assembling it in this video, voicing over and all that stuff for somebody who doesn't have any of this stuff ready. I don't have any footage ready. I don't have any charts ready. I had to make them from scratch. So it was a lot of work. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope it helps you make an informed decision about this card. Specifically, this video only caters to those thinking of buying it to get the stock overclock or the stock EVGA overclock benefit. If you're interested in more extreme overclocks, that's coming up. I did some tests with this one, the specific card. I wasn't very happy. Like I said in the intro of the video, I'm in touch with the EVGA. We're going to work something out. Right now, I'm expecting a new card from Newegg. The Storm kind of delayed delivery, so probably tomorrow or Thursday. But I wanted to get this video out first. Then with that video, I should be able to test, the next video, I should be able to test SLI and hopefully a better overclock test. I want to see those values go up, specifically on those synthetic benchmarks like the Uni Engine Valley and the 3D Mark 13. Again, some of those tests are going to drop. The ones that I just showed you, the Metro 2033. I have the Metro less light. I'll probably use this one coming up. I will make sure to link down below like an Excel spreadsheet. I use numbers on OS X, but still a spreadsheet of some sort with all the settings that I've used for every individual test, so you can compare. For the most part, and all the gaming benchmarks, I use 1440p, so 2560 by 1440p for the games. For the synthetic benchmarks, I ran on their own settings. I believe it's very high or something like that on the Uni Engine, and it's the normal Fire Strike on the 3D Mark. But again, excuse me, down below you'll have a spreadsheet with all the settings so you can check and compare. I hope to have a test soon again with this SLI. It would be nice to have that and those benchmarks on the overclocked ones. Hopefully those values go up. But other than that, I hope to have more videos in the future. I have a few ideas on how to do this. I'm not sure where to go next in terms of specific hardware, because again, basically this is stuff that I just bought and own and I'm testing, and so I have the material. I would love to get in touch with some brands to see if they're interested in sending me some hardware to test. I have plenty of background and experience doing it and testing and using hardware and assembling and disassembling and kind of experimenting with it. So I'd like to put it to use, because right now my career has been focused specifically on software development, which I really, really enjoy, but I miss the hardware, the tinkering of the hardware. And I miss doing this kind of stuff too. I enjoy doing this kind of stuff as well. So again, just to wrap it up, if you did enjoy this video, if you are willing to share with your friends, please do. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more videos. Like I just started. This channel is brand new. I don't have any expectations. I'm doing what I love. This is just stuff that I got, and I want to make sure that people had this information with them to inform their decisions. But I also have a desire to grow it in some way. So if you're wanting to stick with me, make sure to subscribe, and let's enjoy the ride. I think this is it for right now. Again, hopefully have a video soon. I'm not gonna have any timelines on that. The weather kind of threw things off, like around the East Coast, so I don't even know when I'm gonna get my graphics card. But yeah, as soon as I have more, I'll keep posting. I'll be involved in the forums. If you have questions, you want some advice, some people already asked some questions related to comparing different models and stuff. Yes, please make sure to put them down below in the comments. I will reply to all of them. And they might actually help me make decisions on where to go next in the videos, like maybe buying advice or something like that. I definitely have a few videos that I have planned already, including my own rig. and just showing you guys what I have set up. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to whatever comes. And this has been fun, a lot of work, but fun. So if you did enjoy it, don't forget to like it. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I hope to see you guys soon.